Hello everyone, I'm Captain Logan, and it's time for the final evening of DCEU Mania. Joining me tonight is my buddy Brandon.
Hello.
Who is in no way whatsoever qualified to be here, but I want to thank him very much for doing it anyway.
Sure thing, Cap.
I'm also barely qualified for this one. I saw this movie once. I know very little about Blue Beetle, but it's in the lineup of DCEU movies, so it's got to be done. We have to do it. And this is the only one of these that Austin's not going to be on. He will actually be here later for our second and final stream of the evening and of the whole series.
And I will be
tonight.
gone.
And Brandon
You will replace me.
has to get going. You really don't want to watch two of these in a row. You just you don't. Neither did I, but I've done it over and over again, and like I think I'm okay.
Well,
but it has fried my brain just a little bit.
It is my experience that you like to put yourself through hell during, these things.
I do
my French, but
I do it a lot. This show's gone really well, though. We've had a lot of interest with it, and I want to thank everybody for popping in and hanging out with us for these. It has been a lot of fun, regardless of the quality of a lot of these.
And that changes right now. It's going to be terrible with me here. No, it's fine. It's fine.
Brandon's going to do his best. He's going to watch the movie, and that's all we can promise. As always, it's a Mania. Anything goes. There are no rules. We're going to watch the thing, and we're going to respond a little bit as we go. Here is my copy of Blue Beetle. This one I actually have. This one yes, it's a Blue Beetle Blu-ray.
Say that 5 times fast.
This one I actually have on Blu-ray and not just DVD. Some of these I have disliked enough that I didn't even bother with a Blu-ray. Just got the DVD. And then last night we discovered, and I don't know why this is, that hilariously I had the 4K for the Flash that didn't come with a Blu-ray, and I don't have a 4K player.
That's
so
hilarious.
I don't actually have a way to play that right now.
And here I was going to make an
just watched it
HD
on
DVD joke, and you just busted out the 4K, and I'm like, wow.
There's another format. Is it UHD?
Yeah, I believe
that's
so.
also
Yeah,
Blu-ray.
UHD.
Because I put in the other day, Mikey wanted to watch 86 Transformers. Have you ever seen that movie?
No.
That movie's wonderful. Anyway,
No.
the old animated Transformers movie.
Probably seen parts of it, but
he's a big fan of that movie, and he wanted to watch it. And we've got the Steelbook for that. And I pulled that out, and I accidentally put in the UHD disc, and it didn't recognize it because it's not a 4K player, but I'd never heard of UHD. I didn't realize that was 4K, and I was like, what is UHD? And then Jason looked it up because he didn't know either, and he was like, oh, it is 4K. So I guess that came out just early enough that they were sometimes still calling them UHD discs.
It stands for ultra high def.
Yeah, but it's always 4K now. Like, I guess they leaned into that. That's all you see at this point.
I mean, now they have 8K, and they're breaching on 16K, and I'm like, the way that matters is the bigger the screen, because if you have a 4K monitor and then you have an 8K, that packs twice the pixels in the same area. But if that 4K monitor is 4 times as big, so 2 times times 2 times, and that you do 8K, it would be the equivalent of a 4K pixel density. So yeah, it's all weird.
If we get really bored, we can just keep talking about this, I guess. But anyway, we'll try to keep it.
We can decimate your entire audience.
Sure. Well, I mean, we're not going to have a lot for this one. We have had great turnouts this week. Tonight will be the night where that will change, I'm sure. The hierarchy of the DC universe has changed in that nobody cares now.
I can lower the bar amongst low bars.
It's not your fault, Bray. It's not your. I threatened, or at least really kind of wanted to move Flash to the end, because that should have been. I mean, that's not a good movie, but it should have been the culmination of these, because it's Flashpoint, or it's adapting a Flashpoint, which was a soft reboot of the DC universe in the New 52, and it felt kind of like it was sort of doing that itself, and then there's 2 more tacked on after that. And nobody saw these. I mean, Flash didn't do very well either, but it was at least significant in that, Michael Keaton's Batman came back, and it sort of bookends with Man of Steel, and, it sucks, but it mattered, sort of. And theoretically, it was supposed to. Anyway, I'm having to explain some things to Brandon, because he doesn't actually know this stuff. Brandon did recently, for some reason, watch the Theatrical Justice League. I don't know why that is.
Because Nikki had never seen it.
Yeah.
And, occasionally I put myself through hell too, so I don't know. She wanted to see it. We wanted to watch both of them, and I didn't really. I remember watching it with you, both of them, a couple of years ago.
Have you seen the Snyder Cut?
I've seen both. Yeah,
I didn't remember that.
Yeah, I watched
Okay.
it with you. You had to like watch it before you watched it. So
Yeah.
and I watched it with you at that
I
point.
didn't remember that.
I just
Okay.
don't remember it. I was just like in one ear out the other.
Okay, cool. Well, we're gonna watch Blue Beetle. Do you know anything about this at all?
I don't. Is he blue?
Yep. He's got like a scarab, and that gives him this kind of Iron Man-esque suit that does lots of. Yes, he's not a tick, but he's kind of tick-ish, I guess. Blue Beetle, Jaime Reyes, he's got a scarab, and this concludes what I know about this iteration of Blue Beetle. Okay, let's go ahead and get into this. This is gonna be weird because again, this movie was sort of nothing for me. Austin likes this more than I do. I wish he was here for this, but alas. It's just gonna be us.
Me.
So if we have any giant Blue Beetle fans in the comments, and especially of the source material, I mean, feel free to throw in tidbits. We appreciate you guys.
The movie may not be that exciting, but I wore a shirt with two cats high-fiving amidst an explosion, so there's that.
You got to find some way to artificially increase the excitement,
the awesomeness.
Yeah. So as always, we're going to read some comments about the movies as we go from Patreon. And if you haven't gotten one in, by the way, there was one from last night that I missed because somebody put one in the middle of the show. Let me go ahead and read that real quick. Kando Tor from about The Flash says his best scene is Barry actually saving people, even if it's aping Quicksilver. It's generally fun. The thing he changed, the whole concept. Why is Flashpoint the only thing we ever think of to do with the Flash nowadays? I share that sentiment. And biggest surprise, the awful multiverse cameo sequence at the end. I was shocked at how terrible that was. And I'm surprised more people didn't say that. So anyway, Kano Tor got yours in there for that. And now, again, as we go through, I'll make sure to read the ones for Blue Beetle. And because I don't have Austin here, I'm also going to need to pull up Discord so that I could do the Discord ones. I may have Brandon read those for us just so that he's got something also to do.
Sounds fun.
Thanks in advance, Brandon. We'll see if we have any. Looks like just 2 on Discord.
Oh.
No, 3. Yeah. So we more for Blue Beetle than I would have expected. When I give you these, Brandon, just note that people answered for both Blue Beetle and Aquaman 2.
Okay.
So just look at the Blue Beetle ones because there will always also be the Aquaman 2 ones.
Okay.
I'll hand you this after a bit. But anyways, without further ado, let's go ahead and get into the movie. Timestamp 0 and press play when I say now. On Max, if you're watching it that way as I am, make sure that I have the Blu-ray, but it's just easier with my setup to put it on the screen here. And this new computer doesn't have a disc player, so that's why I'm doing it this way. Anyway, make sure to get it past the Max logo and get ready to press play when I say now. Here we go. Appreciate everybody for being here. Let's get right into it. Everybody, please press play right now.
It's a cool logo.
You always gotta have the fancy schmancy thematic logo.
I mean, that looked pretty cool. Is that the best we can expect?
Yeah, I mean, this is more middle of the road to like a little better than a lot of these. I found it overly long, and I thought it had pacing issues, and I personally didn't feel like this actor really carried his own movie super well. I think he's decent casting. I gotta look at that guy's name again because I don't remember it. But the only thing I have really seen him in is Cobra Kai.
Okay.
And he's good in that. Like I think he's good as a supporting role, but I don't know him. I don't know about him as the main character or anything. Austin does not agree with me on this. Zolo, I'm gonna butcher his last name. Moraduena? Is that how you pronounce that? I feel like I've never heard this man's name even said before.
He might not have.
I'm shocked that's what his name is, because I thought I would have at least seen it before. Hi, Nikki. Good to see you in the comments there. Hi, Brady. I'm so shocked we don't have more people watching Blue Beetle with us. So nobody cared about this. This massively bombed at the box office, and part of that was because DC did not do real well advertising it, Brandon.
Okay.
Sorry, I always have Austin here, so it's hard not to accidentally say Austin.
I didn't even hear about this movie.
That's the thing, is a lot of people didn't even know it was coming out until just before it happened. And like the year it was releasing, I brought it up a couple of times in the Captain Logan show, and you would always have commenters like, "Oh yeah, that's happening." Like, it was just such an afterthought, and it feels like very much an afterthought, like shoved in a drawer kind of movie. It also has the distinction of being really the only one of these that feels pretty separated from the DCEU. I'm going to look here for... This opening's actually kind of cool.
Yeah, I'm digging the visuals. Kind of reminds me of spacey...
There's a lot more... What were you going to say?
Just the spacey stuff. Like, they went inside this thing to a universe inside, but it feels like now we're outside again. So it kind of did like an inside-outside thing.
Well, as we all know, the galaxy is on Orion's belt.
Yeah, that's exactly where I was headed with that, actually, before I then pivoted to, like, then we came back outside again.
Also, this theme is kind of cool. Like, just coming off of a string, besides the Suicide Squad, of course, of bland to perplexing, bewildering, and head-scratching movies, this automatically feels like it has more style than those. Now, there will be some, in my mind, cringe-inducing stuff with particularly the family in this movie.
Okay. But so far, it looks great.
The thing that's done with the grandmother is obnoxious, but we'll get there. I
don't know how I feel about this this font, the secondary font that they're using in the credits.
I'm often, Brandon, not the biggest fan of taking the font of the logo of the movie and doing the credits in it. I'm with you. That feels kind of overly produced, and also it's not always easy to look at. Like you got all this cool psychedelic blue stuff going on in the background, and it's not raised enough.
Then you have like 4 different fonts on the screen, and you're trying to read the background. You're trying to read the producer credit. You got 4 different fonts going on. You're hard to do.
You can expect this to be the level of commentary through this entire thing. It's interesting because it's doing somewhat similar
more fonts
titles to the Suicide Squad, I guess. So in the comics, Brandon, Jaime Reyes is the second Blue Beetle. So that's true in this too. So Blue Beetle is like a legacy character.
Okay, what happens?
Or like a lineage.
Do they die? They pass their powers on, and
yeah, I think he just kind of passes the Scarab.
Okay,
and Night Owl in Watchmen is based on this character. So I don't know if you know this, but all the Watchmen characters are analogs to old like Charlton DC characters.
They felt very that when I saw that
originally when that book was pitched to DC, it was supposed to be those characters, and then they changed them, turned them into these analogs. And so you'll notice some stuff if you know Watchmen at all in this that will remind you of that, because he has a Beetle ship just like the Owl ship, and all of that, and that was also a legacy character, where if you'll remember, there's the original Night Owl, and then you have Hollis Mason, and he passes it to Dan Dreiberg, and you have the same thing with this with Ted Kord, and then Jaime Reyes. See, if I didn't have Brandon here, I couldn't just go to my very, very base knowledge of this and just spew it out like the start of a Wikipedia page,
which ironically was inaccessible earlier.
Yeah, for some reason, my computer's not pulling up Wikipedia. I don't know why that is. It's very strange. So I'm having to look at information on my phone right now. But yes, this movie did... So the budget was somewhere between 104 and 125 million. That suggests reshoots and things, maybe. I'm not sure. And the box office was 131, so it exactly broke even, which means it lost a lot of money, because you always have to at least double that for advertising. Gotcha. And even though Warner's didn't do a very good job of telling us about this ahead of time, like, it did have merch and stuff. It did have toys and things. Hilariously...
Blue Beetle the flamethrower, please.
Hilariously, there was merchandise at the theater I go to at the Cinemark, Brandon, that they just couldn't move because nobody cared. So they were trying to give away. They had this sale that was like 10 posters for $8 or something absurd.
Oh my goodness!
But they were trying to give you like a boatload of posters.
Did you not buy in on this?
Nah, I should have. It
Oh
really
man,
fun.
yeah, totally.
The gimmick I was gonna do when this came out was I was gonna buy a bunch of merchandise and pretend like I was the biggest Blue Beetle fan in the universe, and go to the theater and take pictures in like a t-shirt and wearing Blue Beetle stuff. And sadly, this was before the popcorn bucket craze, but this could have had an amazing popcorn bucket.
So, I feel like everything you do is very purposeful, though. What would that serve?
What do you mean?
Being the biggest Blue Beetle fan, pretending you're the biggest Blue Beetle fan.
Oh, just for camera, it would have been really funny. I also, I almost committed to that gag with Rebel Moon, and I've never seen the second part of that.
Okay.
But they announced pop figures, and I almost bought all the pop figures, and I went, I'm not gonna waste my money on this.
Don't do it.
That would be nuts.
Don't do it, Cap.
So I didn't do that. Now, what is Austin doing in the comments? Austin, I thought you were watching a film. What the hell are you doing here? You're supposed to be here. 25%.
So is that George Lopez in the background?
I think George Lopez is in this movie, yes.
Yeah, okay. When he showed up on screen, I was like, okay, didn't expect that. Did that say Welcome to Edge Valley?
I think it's Edge City.
Oh, not Hell Valley, though.
Did they go to Edge City for Blue Beetle with this? I can't remember. That's not usually where Blue Beetle is, I don't think. But he just got out of the theater. Okay, but Austin's got a long drive back to his house. He's like
naturally
he's like an hour away.
Discord.
He's. I don't know if you know this, but he's got like a mental link to Discord, and he can just think his comments.
His Neuralink, Elon Musk's Neuralink, or like
I guess you can do it with YouTube comments too, because that's not Discord, that's YouTube.
It's a doctor, Professor X, and his machine.
Cerebro.
Thank you.
This certainly is a big round room.
I do know the name of his machine.
Well, we're doing a good job of establishing character motivation and personality right away. It's typical, but it's at least familiar in ways that these movies sometimes are not. This is going pretty well in line with Shazam so far, where it's like refreshingly similar and formulaic in a quaint way that you can almost appreciate after all the just bizarreness with the DCEU. But he's your... she literally just said other side of the tracks. I mean, it's your real typical like kid who wants to get out of the small town and go make something of himself.
He's gonna be mayor.
You can start by cleaning the floor.
By mopping the floor. Did you ever climb out on your roof and sit and look at the cityscape or the stars, wherever?
I never had a good view like that. No, I mean when I lived in Arkansas when I was a kid, we had the Arkansas River in our backyard, and that was a cool view. But I never sat on the roof and looked at it. No, that sounds like a thing you would do, though.
It would have been, but I could never get on our roof. So, but we had a pretty good view out the backyard, and I grew up next door to cattle, so the cows would come home and the sunset would set. The sun would set.
Draven G says he's from El Paso in the comics, I think. And I'm a broken record with this, but I never like it when we go to real places in DC, and it's kind of ironic if this moved away from that and is doing a regular city, because Shazam. We'll see. We've got to establish his plight, Brandon. We got to show you how much his life kind of sucks. Is this not feeling like, and maybe in sort of a forced way, but I didn't have this the first time I saw this. So far, this looks like a typical, like, late 80s teen movie.
You think so? Like late 80s? I was thinking...
Are you not having that?
I was getting a vibe of more like early 2000s sitcom.
Okay, sure. Sure. And some of the issue with at least a couple of these, especially Black Adam, is they like Venom. They feel like mid 2000, like superhero movies that couldn't get out of the mid 2000s, and produced by people who think we're still in that era. Pretty clearly.
What they think works.
But yeah, we've been talking over this. I think initially his kind of conflict is he wants to get out of the city, but his loyalties are torn because his family's broke, and so he feels like he has to stay and help them.
Okay.
I think it's that situation.
So is Cord a name in comics, or?
So I mentioned that earlier. So Ted Kord's the original Blue Beetle.
Okay.
And he's gonna be connected to. I don't remember if he's actually connected to the Scabbard or if they just have both. Oh, and I forgot we did OMAC with this too. And I think they did stuff with that in early New 52. New 52 is massively influential to and to its detriment a lot to DCEU from the very start. Man of Steel to BVS, they're looking at that stuff real hard.
Gotcha.
But anyway, spoiler alert, but we will actually get Ted Kord toward the end of this.
Okay.
We will go back to that. But I can't remember if like he had the Scabbard and ends up passing it down, or if he did the like Golden Age Blue Beetle thing where he's just a guy in a suit, like with Night Owl. I can't remember if they did both, but we'll see because we're watching it.
Interesting.
I remember thinking that this felt like it was kind of blatantly ripping off both, or inspired by, or however you want to look at it, both Ant-Man and Iron Man simultaneously.
Yeah.
And humor-wise, I get massive Ant-Man vibes from it, but Shazam also had that, and Black Adam really had it, at least with the guy with the van. And I've been talking about this a lot, but so many of these things, for some reason, end up having this weird stereotype, Brandon, of, and this is going to sound so specific, of the comic relief character that is an overweight guy who drives a van.
Okay, I've seen lots of movies with that.
I don't know why. It's like Ant-Man did it, and then everything thinks that's the comedy ticket. That's what's funny now. Is heavy-set guy in a van.
And Ant-Man, didn't he own a shop or something? He worked at the shop. Yeah. Anyway.
Well, I mean, he stole things, but he gets out of prison and then he's working at an ice cream store.
So, is there?
Wow, she's very Superman 3. Anyway, I'm sorry, go ahead.
I don't know. I'm trying to formulate a question here. I had an idea of a semblance of a question, and didn't expect to see her pop up in this movie. Well, but I expected to see anybody pop up in any movie is something short of a...
I mean, that's... This is par for the course with some of these. There's a lot of, like, these performances that are, just fine, but not especially memorable. None of these movies have great villains.
Oh. What a great nickname for the hired help.
Yeah, see, we're supposed to hate her because she's being racist.
Yeah.
It's just the most obvious, blatant...
That's a little one-dimensional.
Yeah.
Just a little.
And one thing that irritated me about this movie... And I felt kind of alone on an island with this, so I didn't hear a lot of people complain about it, but some of the family members are fine. I found her really irritating.
Okay.
But, like, the dad's okay, but we end up doing some kind of, like really obvious ethnic stereotypes. And so the thing is making fun of racism, but you could argue that it also leans into that a little bit. He's going to have... Because, again, he's got to drive a truck, Brandon. He's going to nickname... If memory serves, or a van... He's got a van that he nicknames Taco just because he's Mexican, and I'm like,
oh, boy.
Stop it.
Please stop it. So can I ask you a question?
Real quick, which is annoying because then you also have I think he's Hispanic. The Hispanic father figure guy in Shazam, who is not at all a stereotype and is really cool. And that's also DCEU. So it's just really bizarre that this then leans into that while like patting itself on the back for being progressive or something. It's annoying.
So the beginning of this movie had that fly through that seemed to indicate that the Blue Beetle, the scarab itself, was extraterrestrial in origin potentially.
Yeah.
But like a scarab is a very earthly thing. So, but my question is related to.
Well, it's not if aliens built the pyramids and that sort of thing, right?
That's
like,
true.
Okay.
That's very true.
It's that whole idea, I think.
But my next question about it is though, we saw earlier the technology at Cord Industries there. They showed something up on the screen that where a guy had a beetle attached to his back, and it looked very Doc Ock type arm type thing that would go in and connect to the spine. So where are they experimenting on the Blue Beetle? Has the Blue Beetle already arrived on Earth? It's already here, and
I think so. We'll see. I don't remember. Okay, I saw this one time.
It was weird.
Tyler's setting me straight. So Ted Kord was not the Golden Age Blue Beetle. That's later with DC, I guess. He says the Golden Age Blue Beetle had the scarab, and Ted Kord was just the guy in the suit. And then I guess they come back with the scarab with Jaime Reyes. Who I mostly only really know from Young Justice, and that's a show I haven't watched in a long time, but loved when I saw it.
Young Justice. Sounds like a teenager court.
It's a super cool show, at least the first season.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Their shanty is lit very cinematically.
Breathing nerddom. Hey, it's the fat. Hey, as the fat stoner best friend in a van, I'm happy to see myself represented. Now, the name of the van being unfortunate is something I cannot deny. That's great. Well, and I don't want to get political. I don't get on the problematic bandwagon. For me, it's just lazy.
Sure. Low-hanging fruit type thing.
And it feels disingenuous, because again, the thing is making fun of racism, but then it does not. So it's like pick a lane.
Yeah. The most realistic smack in the history of cinema.
This isn't a bad scene. And this guy's got a lot of presence. Yeah, honestly, besides some pacing stuff later, the biggest issue with this movie is just I'm going to sound like I'm contradicting myself. It's yet another really by the numbers superhero origin movie, but also again after watching so many of these weird DCEU things, it ends up feeling almost refreshing to go back to one of those. I was having that with Shazam, where the last time before the Mania I saw Shazam just by myself, I didn't really care for it, and I was like, what was I thinking in the theater? And then Austin and I, watching it together on this, kind of came back around on it a little bit. And I don't know, I'm wondering if I'll have that with this, although I didn't like this in the theater. But we're playing Cord Industries here a lot like the Corporation in Ant-Man. And that's also a legacy character. Except with this, we're not going to have Cord, training him and being the mentor and all of that.
Gotcha.
Syndrinic Hunter... Oh, hi, Hunter Tag. As a Hispanic person, I didn't think anything this film did felt particularly off to me, even if it certainly was exaggerated in areas, especially knowing how many Mexicans proudly embrace stereotypes. Well, that's fair. That's a terrific point. And I wouldn't pretend to know that culture well enough to appreciate that. So, I mean, if that's a big thing, then that certainly makes a lot of sense. But that was just the first impression I had with it when I saw it in the theater. And since I've only seen it once, all I can really go to is that first time I saw it. This movie doesn't look bad. And like Shazam, it's got a little color to it, which is unusual for these movies. And again, I'm wondering if there's going to be any reference to anything so exclusively DCEU that this couldn't take place in the next continuity. Because, Brandon, they're actually about to do... It's shocking because this movie didn't perform, but apparently they're going to do a Blue Beetle animated series that is connected to this movie.
Interesting.
While we're full-on rebooting.
Well, that wasn't subtle at all. Like, how did that person not realize that just happened?
And so we're kind of roping in the Suicide Squad and Peacemaker because those are James Gunn things, and it's so soft rebooty anyway that they're going to kind of be connected to the Superman and the rest of the new DCEU.
All right.
But this could retroactively end up counting. I don't know. Breathing nerddom, it's something you could actually use for character, like if the truck was named after a past loved one or something, even that basic, it would at least allow you to somewhat care for him. Yeah, fair enough.
Why is that sitting on the most random circuit board? Boy, that was a choice by the props department.
This is feeling a little Amazing Spider-Man to me.
They used the most regular technology.
Breathing nerddom also, and then I'll get off this topic, but also what I'll say political wise is there are way too many people rushing to speak for minorities without actually talking to a good number of those minorities about what they actually care about. Yeah, and when I agree with that, and when I look at something like this, I'm thinking purely on a writing level. So if I'm in a writing class in college, Brandon, and I write a Hispanic character who nicknames his van Taco, I know I'm going to get dinged by that by the professor. He's going to be like, that's very trite, or like, that's very obvious, or like we don't even have to get into whether it seems problematic or racist or whatever third rail buzzword you want to use. It just seems it seems potentially at first glance like not very good writing. But if it's true that, and of course everybody's different too, that like if it's true that a lot of people in that community like to embrace their stereotypes, then you've got something there. But also I wouldn't want that to be the only like prevailing character trait with a character. You know what I mean? It's like the only thing I remember about this guy is that he named his truck Taco, like, or his van, like, but what personal interest does he have? What is he personally specifically into?
Maybe he's just a super fan of tacos. We don't know.
Yeah.
He needs to be more dimensional.
And then we got Big Belly Burger, which is a big DC Comics thing that they flaunted constantly in the Arrowverse. They just could not stop using that in Flash. But I appreciate comic book stuff. And to Austin's point about another movie we did the other day, I can't remember which, this does actually feel like a movie somebody wanted to make. It said that that's how low our standards have to be with these. But, like, unlike Shazam 2 or even Black Adam, like, this feels like something everybody got together and really wanted to make.
You know what
he also called it a tick.
Yeah.
I love that the Scarab, comes in a fast food box and looks like a Happy Meal toy. That's awesome.
Yes. I was going to say, the worst thing about the last scene is that apparently the guy didn't get his fries.
Wow, what are you going to do?
Oh, yeah.
What?
He's like, security lockdown, I lost my fries.
Yeah, that's not funny.
Well, I feel like this is about to...
Are they still making Tamagotchi?
You know, Nikki and I did watch the preview for this recently, and I forgot.
This is not funny. This is where a movie like this starts to lose me. It's like, Brandon,
Are they
look
playing
at
for
all
laughs?
the... Yeah, clearly. No, clearly.
Yeah, they're playing for laughs. And,
I thought you were asking the question, are they playing for
no,
laughs?
I said that
I'm, like,
weird.
looking at it.
I said it weird,
Just look
yeah.
at it.
Okay, this is bizarre. Oh, nice water heater right in the kitchen.
But, we do this too much, just the pratfall humor. I guess what's supposed to set this apart from a lot of things is the whole family's going to know about it from the beginning.
Sure.
And so he's not going to have an alternate persona, at least from his family.
Right, his family's going to know.
And it's not like we haven't subverted that a lot in modern day, but the closest thing they've made to this, because it's also a kid superhero, of course this is a teenager, is Shazam, and he does keep that a secret from his family for that for the whole movie until the end. And then in the second movie, the kids in his family are all in his adopted family. See, this is just going on and on.
Yeah.
They're all...
Why are they cindering up?
Because he's getting his suit. It's morphin time, Brandon.
Oh.
It's body horror morphin time. Like, it's too over the top. It's too overproduced. Reel this in a little bit.
I'll be honest, it's not a bad graphic. It just doesn't make a lot of sense.
No, the suit's cool.
Oh, jeez.
But, like, you could play this kind of scary.
Yeah, this is kind of horrific. How are you going to cover up that kind of damage when they come looking for... Like, what caused that on your roof there, huh?
For a second there, it's even kind of tonally uneven, right? Because we're playing it for, like, pratfall comedy, and you just have... Sure, if that happened, these people are probably, like, yelling and screaming, but...
Yeah.
Like, change your soundtrack and make it a horror scene. You know, let them scream because it looks like their kid is transforming into a bug. You know, like, what if you... I just had this thought. What if you shot it like The Fly? And what if you scored it like The Fly?
Goodness. Having seen that for the first time within the last year.
Isn't that killer?
Yeah.
That's a great freaking movie.
Oh, yeah. It's great.
I'm glad you got to see that. Breathing nerddom. Black Adam, exactly one person wanted to make. That's exactly right.
I've heard Black Adam's terrible.
It's really rough.
And we had to see it at some point,
we had a bad viewing of that the other day.
Oh, yeah?
We should have come in for more of these, Brandon.
Well, you know, you sent me that list, and then I promptly forgot that this was going on, and then I forgot to get back at you.
I thought about messaging you at the start of the week, and then I remembered that most of the really bad ones were this. Well, I say that. I mean, most of them are not good, but...
So now it's autopiloting him
and just
into
straight up
space.
Iron Man. Just straight up Iron Man at this point. Is he going to have to deal with the icing problem, Brandon?
Oh, God.
Remember the icing problem?
I do remember the icing problem.
This looks good.
Yeah. The Earth is not quite... He would not be so far... They're trying to position him in Earth orbit, low Earth orbit. The Earth is too curved for where he is in low Earth orbit. And for him to be
that's a comic book movie.
Yeah, I know. Well, you know,
and it's not playing for massive realism. Like, that's fine.
No, but like you could do that. You know, it would take me out less. That's where I start to get pulled out of the movie. You make everybody happy, Cap.
Why does it have to be that realistic about that?
I mean, that was okay. It doesn't have to be that realistic, but it needs to be more realistic than that for me.
It looks cool.
Agreed.
And after so much really rough CG, and I remember in the theater being more impressed with these visuals than I expected. I think there might be some kind of hit and miss stuff here and there, but like especially after the Flash, which is so hard to look at.
Yeah.
And having just come off that last night, this is kind of refreshing to go back to visually. And again, I say, none of this is funny. And once again, we got to do like tons of needle drops.
Okay.
That's just par for the course with these, I guess. I guess that's more understandable in like a teen movie, but
so he's obviously creating sonic booms. Those will break out glass window. Like that is a superhero trope, movie trope to break windows and collateral damage and stuff. Like we should be blowing out all of these windows.
Overreacting. Okay, some of the stuff with the computer voice is kind of fun. Let me start reading some of these comments before we get too far into the movie. Cinderink, favorite scene for Blue Beetle. Definitely when the Beetle ship starts moving like a bug, since that gave it... Oh, and we'll have some spoilers for Brandon because he hasn't seen this, but since that gave it extra charm as a vehicle, and it was nice seeing George Lopez in something mainstream again. What I'd change, establish Karapak's backstory earlier since it comes in way too late in the film for it to really have the effect it should, as he generally speaks too one-dimensionally for it to feel properly hinted at beforehand. There are people that know this movie. That's amazing. Most surprising thing that there's any reference to El Chapulin, Colorado, the red and yellow superhero the uncle is a fan of. Oh, I'm sorry. I'm sure I just said that wrong. So that gave this otherwise serviceable cape flick something for me to point at when it showed up on the screen. Yeah, it's great. And I'll agree with serviceable, certainly.
So he's just split this bus apart, right? These people are now. Granted, that is a very shocking thing, but if you were on a bus and you saw suddenly that your bus was being cleaved in half at the molecular level by this thing, we have superheroes in mainstream culture in our lives. They're not real, but they exist in our reality as these fictitious characters. If you saw them in real life, are you gonna act like superheroes have never existed before, or are you gonna act like, my God, is this a real life instance of a superhero? I feel like they were acting as if superheroes just don't exist in their culture.
Well, and that's one of the things that makes it feel less rooted in the DCEU, because by this point, even though there's not a real hard and fast continuity with this, and it feels like we're soft rebooting almost every time, Brandon, the further you get into this, the more they play it like a lived-in DC universe with lots of superheroes running around. So you wouldn't be that surprised by that.
Okay.
But so if they're treating it like... Because I was reading a comment, but if you had characters treating it like they've never seen a superhero before, then that kind of lends credence to this may not even be in that universe.
Gotcha.
But there is a reference to Batman. So there are superheroes people know about. But you're also looking at like a crazy space entity that's blowing up buildings.
Truth.
So, I don't know.
It would be shocking.
Guys, let us know. Sorry, real quick. Let us know in the comments, just to make sure that you can still see and hear us, because we haven't gotten a comment in a while. And it might just be people aren't leaving them, but I just want to make sure that people can still see us.
Okay. I was like, they're purposefully not showing us his back, so I imagined it was back there. So
yes,
there it is.
You can recognize so many influences all over the place with this, right? Like this is now very Sam Raimi Spider-Man. Tobin's back with a $1.99 super chat. So almost every movie he's come in and given us the official verdict on the movie, Brandon.
Okay.
But this one he's not seen. I haven't seen this movie.
So you say very Sam Raimi Spider-Man here. I almost mentioned how very not Sam Raimi Spider-Man it was earlier, with the fact that when you mentioned, his family knows about it, whereas in, it does have a very early Spider-Man feel, right, in the way that's being made, but
the character is very Spider-Man in the first place.
Yes, Peter Parker, would not allow, Aunt May and Uncle Ben to know anything, so...
Right, but then in Amazing, we subvert that real hard by letting Gwen Stacy know in the middle of the film, and that was one of the examples I was going to mention earlier. That yes, we go against that a lot these days, and just trying to find a way to mix things up. But with these movies specifically, that does separate it, especially from Shazam, because we're getting rid of that idea from the start and saying the whole family's in on it. And they're going to all be part of the adventure, for better or worse.
They're not just in on it; they were there when it happened.
Right, but what I mean is like they're gonna be part of the adventure. They're gonna like come along for
that's
things
cool.
as it, I mean,
I mean, it's an cool idea.
yeah, but it ends up feeling a lot more like an ensemble movie, and I feel like this was in the theater anyway. We'll see if I feel that way with this, but
I feel like George Lopez is playing George Lopez with a beard.
but I felt like the protagonist gets kind of buried by that a little bit. And I complain all the time about how so many DCEU films, the majority of them end up being team building movies for no good reason. And this one doesn't have that, except it's got a ton of uncostumed sidekicks.
Okay.
So it's like if you took the guy in the chair stereotype, or I should say, I guess, just that character model, and you made it. You had like 6 of them. Mm-hmm. Except they're like actually coming with him.
So you mentioned that this it feels very ensemble, and the lead gets buried. I would have to agree with you so far in that I feel like we've had as much exposition for every other character as we have had for him, and the only reason I really know he's the main character is because he's got a blue Beetle strapped to his back.
And they're all pretty archetypal, right? Like, especially the sister, who's just obnoxious.
Why was she standing in the middle of the road if they were coming?
Sanctimonious social media girl is what I remember. I haven't been paying a lot of attention to her dialogue, but that's what I remember about that character. Okay, great. Not gonna lie, this movie's not bad so far. It's just generic. Yeah, definitely. You will forget you saw this tomorrow. Title,
Blue Beetle.
I mean, I don't know how that's any more generic than any other superhero.
It's not. I just was playing at it. I mean, Iron Man's pretty generic too.
The taco. Some of this is awkward. Stop it. Draven G, wasn't this movie originally going to be a streaming movie like Batgirl? I seem to recall there being like Warner's kicking that around, like just dropping it on Max. They probably should have, but I guess they spent too much money on it, and they were hoping to recoup some of it at the box office. And they did.
How bad it looks. Sorry. It's weird.
Worse what? We need our exposition character.
I want to know how they know that. How she knows that.
Because she got it. Because it was given to her father. She just explained it to you, Brandon.
Yes, but like...
What part of her father had it? Do you not understand? Like, she knows about it because her father told...
How did he find it? I want to know how they know it's a world-destroying weapon.
Okay, great. This movie feels late to the superhero party. It feels like a 2010 to 13 movie. Yeah, definitely. But like a competent enough one, I guess. Except it does have some of that banter that's not very good. Like with Shazam 2.
We got the archetypal cool, grandpa character bringing everybody together.
But he's cool.
Should be Danny Trejo.
Well, then he'd be a lot gruffer. You want Tortuga in the mix with the taco? Is that what you're saying?
Then he would die.
We should do a...
No machete.
We should do some watch parties on Breaking Bad.
Oh, that'd be fun.
See, everybody's got to have their role to play. This guy does machines.
Okay, that was weird. Just busts out knowledge of stuff he should have no knowledge of.
Well, he's an engineer. I mean, apparently a very super sciencey engineer.
Yeah, right. Like he seems
look,
like he
he's
has
in
a
the
few
DC
levels
universe, okay?
Of DARPA clearance that his general look doesn't.
Yeah, you could be in a world. This is really stretching, but you could be in a world with technology that's been enhanced by stuff from space, but then everything just kind of looks like present day, and you don't have anything, too heightened or futuristic looking. That's why I always really like comic book Metropolis, the city of tomorrow idea.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm hoping that we kind of do that in Gun Superman, where it feels a little bit like the future, just because your world would look different if you've dealt with aliens and superpowers and all of that stuff. It's one of my biggest pet peeves in comics.
Gotcha.
Is when even with Marvel, which is supposed to look more like the world we live in, you still have to factor in how much it would change not just technology but just society and social norms. When everybody knows about magic and space aliens and future
that's fundamental shifts in just humanity right there.
Yeah, it would change everything.
Like it changed Iron Man when he got sucked up into space and came back. Why does he walk around with this thing on? Like, how's he allowed to just walk around with this thing on his back and nobody questions it?
I mean, would you question that guy?
Okay, fair point.
I mean, he's pretty scary, and because you have to have your evil version of your character, of your superhero. I don't remember if that's exactly what we're doing with this, to be honest with you, but I'm assuming it is.
Oh man,
He's got to have his
a hand reveal.
Have his robot hand. Well, you can see it in the wides.
You know, robot hands could be very protagonist and antagonist. That's kind of funny. Dan's Den. I felt like if DC had started with movies like this one instead of going straight into Justice League, it would have been much easier to ease audiences into their universe. I agree. And Shazam also, of course. They would have risked looking like they were stealing too much from Marvel. Or just trying to follow suit with that. But it would have resonated with audiences more, certainly. And also, if they would have just allowed, like I think Gunn's DCU is going to, just a lot of different kinds of movies, where you could have stuff like this, and then you could have your super serious Batman or Superman or Wonder Woman or something, but serious in such a way where there's still plenty of humanity there, where the characters still feel like real people, and you don't look like you're just being, grim, dark, and edgelordy for the sake of it. So how come all these security guys got to look like paramilitary? It's like Celebrity Deathmatch.
Because we do that a lot in comic stuff. Like, I will say, I don't think I gave this movie enough credit for how kind of comic booky it looks. Not that it's, like, super stylized or anything, but it's a lot more DC than I gave it credit for.
I feel like it's more copy stylized than anything. It's pulling from a number of different things.
Right, but like I said, I appreciate that it's actually pulling some DC comic stuff.
Does it have any sort of look besides the font that we were dealing with earlier? Does it have any sort of look to the air of the comic it's pulled from? I mean, I'm assuming that some of this aesthetic is related to that as much as, it would be any comic.
I mean, I haven't read a lot of Blue Beetle, and there's, different runs like with anything. So that's not a character that's associated with a particular look, really.
There's your red phone, Ken.
I don't think. Yeah, well, it's the military. They've got to have their important red phones.
Yeah. Oh man, it's an early 2000s smartwatch.
It's a TED watch. Because I guess we're doing the LexCorp thing, where Cord names some of his things after his first name. But yes, this is an easy way to feel significant.
Yeah.
It's just having your red phone. I keep this on my desk for no reason, except it looks fun. Because it's not actually plugged into anything. Let me read some more comments. Actually, Brandon, why don't you do one from the Discords? Oh, no. You know, I say that. Maybe I shouldn't have you read any of these because you're trying to watch the movie.
I mean, oh, man. That was interesting.
Oh, Austin put in one.
Statue over.
Yeah, I'll just let you watch the movie, I think, Brandon.
Well, so far, so he says, I have no idea how I did that. So he's not really doing that.
Right.
So.
No, that's the idea.
He's not really a superhero. It's a super suit now.
Well, not yet.
Right. I mean, so far. I assume he'll learn to control it, but why does it,
Well, it'll be more of a symbiotic sort of relationship.
Gotcha.
Yeah, I forgot all about this Carapax guy.
I mean, the graphics are not bad here at all.
No, and I remember it having decent action. It's kind of on the level of the Iron Mans. And the suit does look great. Like, the LEDs in it are super cool. And it does have a fun gimmick, Brandon, where as the movie progresses, he'll keep finding out new things the suit can do.
Sure.
And I think there's a place in this scene specifically where it does something just, like, crazy.
Okay. Ha. Okay.
This might be where the big money shot in the trailer is, where he pulls out his giant, like, arm blade scythe thing and then cuts into the ground. And I was impressed with that in the trailer. I was like, oh, it looks like somebody cared.
That was a really interesting, really high, wide shot that you never see a shot like that of action.
The Carapax is reminding me a lot of the Red Scare from the Tick. Kill Jimmy Carter. Arthur, Jimmy needs us now more than ever. Cereal When Pigs Fly. He hasn't seen either of these, but he'll ask a question. If you had the opportunity, would you take the Scarab? I mean, probably not. Because I have other things to do.
What would you rather be?
That's such a commitment, you know.
Would you rather be Scarab, Green Lantern, of people who gain powers from extra entities,
like an alien artifact or something?
Venom.
Good call. And it's funny because this is almost like something in between Green Lantern and Venom, right? Mm-hmm. Where you end up with sort of a symbiotic relationship, but it doesn't take you over in the same way. But the answer is you'd certainly want to be a Green Lantern over either of those because it feels less permanent.
Okay.
Like there are ways to lose a ring, and also there's not so much physical discomfort in being joined with it.
Sure.
Because the Scarab thing, when he first gets it, it looks like that would suck.
Oh, yeah.
Like, you don't want to go through that. That looked like going through a larval process.
Yeah, no kidding. Yeah, exactly. Like, you're going to do some gene splicing, you're going to have some gene herding.
That's a great point. It's like genetic engineering in real time.
Yeah.
You don't want to deal with that. Dan's Den Carapax was such a neat pull from the actual comics.
That was a great facial expression.
You know, go back to this. I imagine I would appreciate this a lot more if I just knew the material and if I cared about Blue Beetle. It's just not a character that's ever really been on my radar.
I mean, it looks fun so far. I'm having an okay time.
Yeah, it's kind of just more of the same, right?
Yes.
But that's so much far above a lot of the DCEU, which I would take more of the same than just, again, completely bewildering and cynical and headache-inducing and facepalm-inducing, like so much of that.
I'm gonna say something that I don't know if you'll agree with this or not, but this has an aesthetic to it that looks more realistic than something like an Avengers movie or something like. It doesn't. Every graphic doesn't seem overproduced to the nth degree with CGI.
Yeah.
This seems a lot more realistic in even like a television fashion almost.
No, you're right. And it's so weird to say this because I almost said the same thing. I complain a lot about superhero movies that look too much like TV. This is oddly like TV in a good way. I don't even know how to explain that.
This is very easy on the eyes in a way that a lot of superhero movies for me have not been.
And TV, like if we did it all practical and we didn't have a big budget, but you use CG to enhance stuff when you could afford it, but and then of course this wasn't a cheap movie, but it wasn't an insanely expensive movie for these either. Like it's kind of modest.
They didn't sink the budget of the Avengers into this thing.
Well, I mean, but you don't even have to go to that. You can go to the budgets of some of the other DCU movies, which were also a lot of them really inflated.
Truth.
But that's a terrific point. That especially some of the later Marvel movies and things that were made around this time, because this is 2 years ago. This is 2023. Austin, and I agree with him, complains all the time about bad CG and hard to look at stuff.
I hate his driving.
In the MCU. Why? He drives like you.
No, he doesn't.
Oh, okay.
No, he doesn't. Those are the people I complain about. Crossing 5 lanes in a...
But yeah, and not to give you crap, but to something you said a couple scenes ago.
Yeah.
Yes, if her father had the scarab, he would know that it was that you could use it like a weapon.
Yeah, but why is it just known as the like an earth destroying weapon? Like how do they know its power? You could speculate all day long, but what tells them it does this specifically?
Well, again, Ted Kord had it. It's linked to your head.
So he used it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Like I said, he's the first Blue Beetle.
Okay.
She's his daughter. Her last name is Kord. We've been through all this.
Well,
and like I said at the beginning, like at the beginning, I couldn't remember if he actually had the scarab, but she just gave us that exposition. So, like, yeah, wouldn't you think if Jaime Reyes had this thing long enough, again, because it becomes kind of symbiotic, he would come to know how powerful it is.
So if her grandpa had it and her dad had it...
Shut up, Okay Great. I don't want to hear that.
How did they get rid of it, and how can he get rid of it?
Okay Great says that, well, you'll just have to watch the movie and find out. Because I don't remember. Yeah, I didn't remember that he sees this stuff this early, but I remember this being really cool in the theater because I did not expect the old school Blue Beetle suit to even be in this, and so it's really neat that it's got some actual reverence for this material.
So how far are we into this movie right now?
We are about an hour, and I feel like we've gotten an okay amount done by now. I said pacing issues. It must be in the back half. Unless I'm just wrong about that. And of course, you have a different experience when you're talking about it, so when you're talking over it, so mileage varies. But so far, especially compared to the rest of these things, we keep saying typical, but that ends up being a positive in this case. It feels like it's on track for kind of just standard superhero movie pacing.
I would have a field day in this lair of old computers and televisions and technology. I'd be like, hook me up to this stuff.
This is a great set.
It really is. I'm really finding it. I felt the house looked very lived in.
But yeah, Okay Great said this movie would be better if Booster Gold was here, and I don't want to hear that. I don't want to hear that crap.
That looks like a young Jeff Goldblum right there for a second.
Speaking of The Fly,
Yeah, it really does. He really does.
that is an angle you could have done with this. Certainly initially, the kind of body horror that Fant Forstick was attempting. Tyler, Dan, and Ted's suits both look great. Yeah, it's so they've got multiple Blue Beetles in there. It's not just Ted Kord and Jaime Reyes. There's other ones too.
Gotcha.
I totally forgot that they did all that this early. Like I knew the Ted Kord suit was in here. I didn't even remember that they did multiple suits beyond that.
So those suits exist, and did he not say something about Blue Beetle so they know that this thing is out there?
I don't know what point you're making right now, but I do think it's weird that his coat, that his jacket, looks like it was based on the Blue Beetle suit. Maybe that's on purpose though, because it's Kord. I mean, it's obviously on purpose, but like maybe Kord was just having synergy through his company because this is. I assume that suit was made by Kord. Does it have a Kord logo on it? I think it did. I think maybe it did. But anyway, what point are you trying to make? I just missed it.
Did George Lopez's character, did he not just say...
George Lucas is not in this movie, Brandon.
Did he not just say, the Blue Beetle? Lopez, they know who the Blue Beetle is in their reality?
Apparently.
So
because again, it's a legacy character. Yeah,
and now he is the Blue Beetle, but they didn't know what it was when it attached to him. But now they're seeing
just because they know... Well, again, Well, here's the thing I can't remember with this, and again, we've been talking over it, but so Ted Kord had the Scarab, but he's also got the suit that just looks like a suit. Like, it's not a suit that comes on him when the Beetle comes on him, like as a Power Ranger. It's a like handmade suit. So
yeah, exactly.
So what I'm thinking is he used the Scarab to make technology, and he built the Blue Beetle persona around that, but it wasn't the same thing that he is. So just because there was a superhero running around called the Blue Beetle doesn't mean when the Scarab gets on this kid, everyone would go, "Oh, look, it's the Blue Beetle." It looks completely different.
And that's fair, but that's what I didn't understand.
I think that's what. Yeah, I think that's what it's doing.
But it looked to me like once George Lopez's character had context in that lair, he's like, "Oh, Blue Beetle."
Yeah, I think that's what it is. I think that makes sense.
So were the former Blue Beetles, were they do-gooders, or because the ant seems like bad mojo?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, they were superheroes, Brandon.
So why is she such a POS?
Is she?
The ant? I love
Dan Garrett I know nothing about, but it's kind of cool that he's mentioned in this. It's just cool. There's this whole history of this character. But yeah, you're saying like Ted Kord's daughter is a crappy person? I'm not sure what you're saying.
She said her aunt would stop at nothing to get the Blue Beetle back.
Right.
Also, I love how...
So, I mean, there's a bad apple in the family. What does that have to do with...
I want to know how she got a hold of the damn thing.
Well, you've always got to have that character, Brandon. You always have to have the power mad, like jealous, horrible rich family member.
Yes, but you've also got to have computer system in a lair by the person who had unimaginable technology, built a computer system out of it, and yet this guy can interface with it no problem. If you or I walked in there, we wouldn't know what the heck we were doing.
Yeah, well, that's his role in the movie, Brandon.
He's just an expert hacker.
Like Kord's daughter is there to give us exposition. She's Defoe and Aquaman. Again, we've always got that character. And then this guy does machines. And then everybody else is kind of not very good comic relief. And then you have like the rah-rah mentor, like get it done grandpa character.
Mm-hmm.
The wise sage
patriarch.
Yes, the wise sage patriarch. You got to have that character. I think his performance is really good though. Dan's Den, Brandon and Cap have so much different energy than Austin and Cap. I want to know if that's a good thing or a bad thing.
Or neutral.
It's like when you get Thanksgiving dinner, Brandon, and you take a taste of something. How was it? It was different. Different is still always better than interesting, though. If somebody says something is interesting, it's the worst thing they've ever had.
I've said plenty of times that something was interesting.
That's a Peter Parker shot if I've ever seen one.
Yeah.
Let me read another comment here. I like how we're sitting here just trying to, talk out the plot in a movie that's not that complicated, where if we just watched it, we'd know, but, we gotta fill time and create a product somehow. So we're sitting, it's like we're doing a crossword puzzle. It's like Cap and Brandon trying to solve the world's easiest crossword puzzle. It's right there. If we just kept reading, we'd know the answers. Daniel Davis, favorite scene, the fight with Carpax. If he's just talking about that first one, that is a great fight. I was surprised by how much I enjoyed it. Also, I thought that George Lopez as the uncle was quite winning. He had a scene earlier that was really annoying to me, but he's
fine.
He's also had some decent stuff too. So
I don't dislike him.
And this movie has actual downtime, which I'm appreciating.
And I've appreciated that we've actually gotten to see them at the dinner table at least once. You wonder where they're eating. You wonder when they're doing the other things.
Yeah, I could still use, more honest to God character development, beyond just your singular prevailing character trait. And I always want, hobbies and job stuff from characters. What's the guy into besides having his van?
I have no idea about this guy's work. Any of these guys' work ethics.
Yeah. What do they do?
Yeah. What do I know?
What I would change: develop the main villain's plots a lot more. She is kind of ho hum. Yeah, I'm having that too. And most surprising thing that I found anything to like about it. I do think I might have. I mean, we're only halfway in. Mm-hmm. I may have misjudged this one a little bit. I mean, I was pretty dismissive with it.
Well, you said experiences differ every time you watch it. Then.
Well, and especially after days of these.
Oh, yeah. Days
also,
of future
this
past.
should and it won't be, but this should instantly be my favorite DCEU movie because of all the purple.
I have noticed
there's some
the
blue,
purple
but there's
aesthetic.
a lot of purple.
It's Blue Beetle, yeah, the purple aesthetic in a lot of places.
You know me with purple LEDs and stuff, man.
Yes,
makes
I
me
do.
happy.
I'm always coming out of here irradiated by UV light. I feel cleaner for the experience. Come to your basement lair to get clean. Just bzzz.
Okay, I'll read OK Greats later because he didn't actually see this movie and he has a good question for Austin and I to tackle in the next one. So I will read this.
Oh my god.
Super Billy finally seeing the bug in live action is his favorite thing, best scene. Everything except the lead actor is Jaime Reyes and his perfectly realized Blue Beetle costume is what he would change. And the thing he's surprised by, the fact that it has little to no connection to the DCEU. Yeah, I was saying that earlier where I'm looking for some. I haven't found any yet. Despite... It feels kind of like the Suicide Squad where it could fit or not, except that's... I mean, not a great example because it's also using specific actors and characters from the previous movie, but it could just be a soft reboot that, or it could just exist in another universe because it doesn't really talk to that first movie at all. Anyway, despite how incredibly mediocre the film is, I actually wouldn't mind seeing it officially inducted into the new soft reboot canon. So far on this viewing, I think I'm agreeing with that. It's just I think its greatest strength maybe also ends up being its greatest weakness, right? I like all the downtime in the family stuff, but I think the family is really going to get in the way in the second half.
Yeah.
And we'll see if I'm still right about that.
This is very Spider-Man 2.
Very Spider-Man 1, even.
Spider-Man, T-O-O.
Oh, as well, yeah. No, where he does the jump and he's doing this
Yeah,
thing,
but
like...
he was also trying to get, jump up, like, a la trying to get his web shooters to shoot.
Yeah, no, it's that whole scene. It would be Spider-Man 2 if he then fell and then he got up and said, "My back." Then it's Spider-Man 2.
Yeah. Okay, see, technology like this, they have to be aware of a certain level of things.
Sure.
In the universe. So, and then we got these military guys coming in again.
Oh, Dan Stan is neutral about the difference in our rapport, Austin.
Okay.
Or Austin, Brandon. Although
Branston.
I find your two's chemistry quite interesting.
Oh, no.
Oh, no.
Oh, no. All right, I'm out. I'm going to see myself out.
Now it's crappy Thanksgiving dinner, Brandon.
Well, if you have turkey, I agree. I'm all about that ham.
I also prefer ham to turkey. But I'll eat a good turkey. It's just such a dry meat.
It is. But if you have a really good, juicy piece of turkey, I'll eat it. But if it's too dry, no go.
Oh, no, the evil ant cord.
This is the kind of entertainment I bring to the table. Talk of turkey. Turkey talk.
See, like, the mastermind behind all of this is real generic. But your costume villain seems fun. Like, you've at least got that, which I can't say about a lot of these other movies.
Uh-oh. Oh.
The villains here are probably on par with the first Shazam.
They lose the family house. That sucks.
Okay, great. This is better than all the other DC movies this week besides the Suicide Squad. So far, I'm agreeing with that. The bar is very low. I also think this premise, and we said this about Shazam too, Austin and I, but I think this premise probably lends itself better to a streaming show.
Sure.
Especially with the legacy characters. I'm digging on this score a little bit. It is reminding me a lot of Sonic Frontiers, which I've been listening to a ton of lately.
Yeah.
That soundtrack.
All right, there's going to be ricochets.
I don't know what you call this kind of music, but that synth stuff. That maybe synth wave. Maybe that's what that is.
Maybe. I mean, I'd call it synthwave. Certainly.
Like, that's cool. It's a nice little melody. We keep saying this movie's a little standard, it's a little generic, but it's got more of a identity than some of these other things have.
This is kind of cool. I was trying to go non-lethal.
Dan Stan, very electronic heavy.
Yeah.
But I wish the whole movie was this and we didn't do hardly any incidental stuff.
80s synthwave.
I would really appreciate that. Well, and that also lends credence to what I said earlier about this feeling like an 80s teen movie, Brandon.
Truth. Truth.
This scene is cool. Oh, and this is actually reminding me a lot of X2. Where, like, we show up to the house and we're kidnapping all the kids, Brandon.
Okay, sure.
I don't know how well you remember X2, but it's that scene, except out on a suburban street.
That's where they go through the tunnel and they exit the house through the tunnel, right?
Yes.
So I have a dream that one day I'll own a house where I can build a tunnel like that in my house.
Austin says, I just popped in, Yay Cap is having what I had the first time. Yeah, and I swear to God, it's not just because I know Austin likes this, and now I'm like trying to color it differently. I really kind of expected to come back here and just be bored, and I'm still irritated a little bit by some of the family stuff, but the pacing so far has been fine. But maybe there's more of that in the back half. I don't know. But it looks good.
You just combine two weapons on each hand into one giant weapon. That's kind of fun.
I think this is probably the scene where he does the crazy giant blade thing.
Okay.
Maybe not.
Is he dead? Did he die?
I'm just going to wait for that the whole movie.
I hope he didn't die.
I don't think we've had that yet. So, Brandon, the good guys are blue and the bad guys are purple.
Uh-huh.
That's what's happening. Austin, another impressive thing is this is a made-for-streaming movie that's somehow better than most of the DCEU. Okay, so it actually was made to go on. I didn't know that. Because I knew, like I said earlier, there was talk about it going to Max, but I thought they were just going to dump it there because they didn't think it would do any money. I didn't realize it was made for streaming. Brandon, that makes this actually hella impressive. Did you hear what I was saying?
Yeah.
Apparently this was made for streaming, which means when we were talking about the weird idea that it looks like TV in a good way, that's why.
That's very interesting.
It is made for TV.
That's so weird.
And it may be that it doesn't translate great to the big screen because of that, because I'm kind of having a better viewing with it now. But Austin is also right that it looks a lot better than some of these other movies. And to your very valid point earlier, that it looks more real.
The realism,
yeah. What I'm saying about it not looking cinematic enough for the big screen is maybe not fair.
But here's the thing: it's like I've watched those cinematic things for the big screen. It's too much for me. It pulls me back out again. I'm just like, I want something that looks real.
A little down to earth.
Yeah, just like, you can ground all this. Like, some of the stuff looks fantastic, certainly, but you can ground it in reality and be even better for me.
Okay, great. If this had come out on streaming, I think it would have been better remembered. I agree. I think that's right. People might have talked about this more if they didn't have to go to a theater and watch it at home on a lazy Sunday. Yeah, it probably would have gotten a little bit more of a following. I still think it would have kind of come and gone, and not a ton of people would have watched it. But those that did would probably talk about it more fondly.
Now, I will say, had we not been talking through this thing, I might feel a little bit more emotional during this point where we lost the matriarch here.
Yeah, absolutely.
And the house.
Well, and I like that a lot because those were the stakes at the start of the movie.
Yeah.
It was like, oh, we're broke, we're going to lose the house. Maybe I was just in a crap mood when I saw this the first time, Brandon. Like, this has been okay so far.
So they've been standing out front all night?
Maybe they just came back.
Maybe.
No, I'm with you. It's very devastating. So yeah, I forgot about this. They don't just go on the adventure; they have to go save the main character.
So the superhero has to get saved by the non-super family.
Well, he just started. I mean, it's your origin thing. He's not really a superhero yet.
It's true.
This honestly has turned into a Ninja Turtles plot. Every other Ninja Turtle story is Splinter or Raphael or someone else, but usually one of them is kidnapped and everybody else has to go rescue them.
That's funny. I haven't seen any of the modern Ninja Turtles movies, the 21st century stuff.
Well, you're missing nothing.
So I've heard.
But Austin sent me a picture the other day of something they cut from that movie that I didn't know about.
Yeah.
That I really wish they'd left in. So you know what the horrible, bulky, 9-foot-tall turtles look like in that,
yes,
right?
Uh-huh.
And they still talk about it in that, like, they're supposed to be stealthy and ninjas and, like, people don't see them coming. But
One
they
of
would
your
make so much
critiques of
noise
that
when they're running
movie.
around. Well, and everybody, like, I'm not unique in that. But they almost did, because they do a lot of 87 cartoon stuff in that.
Uh-huh.
Of course, the 90 movie does this too, but they almost did the trench coats. And he sent me a picture of it, and it was just the funniest damn thing.
That would have been a great callback.
That movie is immediately a notch better with the because they show one where like he's hunched over like this and he's in the trench coat and he's got like giant sunglasses on and he's got like a cloth covering his face so you can't see that he's a turtle and he looks hilarious.
If we could build you like an 80s Ninja Turtle outfit, would you wear it for Halloween?
Sure. Absolutely, I would.
Trench coat and everything.
I liked Mutant Mayhem. It's not my idea, Turtles, but it was good. Mutant Mayhem. Oh yes, of course. That's the most recent one, the animated movie. Sorry, we were in the live action place, and I just wasn't even thinking about that.
You know what I love about layers like this?
I respectfully did not like that, but I also have only seen it once, and maybe it watches better on a second viewing. But it was just not to my taste. So now we've got our owl ship.
Okay,
I mean, our
and
Beetle,
it does
our
very
Beetle
much
ship.
look like that, and the Nebuchadnezzar.
Oh, sure, it is kind of like the Nebuchadnezzar.
But it does look very Watchmen there too, and it looks kind of reminds me of the big bug eyes. Remind me of the Legion of Doom.
Yes, yeah, good call. I'm shocked and dismayed that you know what the Legion of Doom is. That makes me happy. You guys, Brandon just brought an honest to God, good comic reference that I didn't even think of. Yes, it does look like the Legion of Doom thing. Have you watched Super Friends? Is that
I've seen a couple of things here and there. I know just enough.
Okay.
No, but I was gonna say layers like that where they just got that chip out of. I love it when like they turn on the lights in the area. Like Batman did it differently. Batman did it right, where you've just like got clicks as the lights go on. But like in a place like that, it's always gotta like power up, like, and you're just like, why is everything powering up like a freaking robot?
So pardon my French when I say this, Brandon.
What?
But did she just have him upside down because she's being a douche? Like,
I don't know. Why would you?
does he have to be upside down?
Maybe it's
We have to make him
symbolic
as
of a beetle on its back.
We have to make him as uncomfortable as humanly possible.
Well, a beetle on its back can't do anything.
Yeah, no, I get that. But just practically for that technology, why does he have to be upside down? Gee, I wonder what that does.
Oh, it's a Nintendo Power Glove.
It's so bad. So, the synthwave stuff is probably inspired by how low-tech and 80s the chord tech is supposed to be. And I wish they just, like I said earlier, ran a little bit more to the nines. I mean, it could have gotten obnoxious, Brandon, but so maybe not to the nines, but like I wish they pushed that a little farther. Again, getting rid of the incidental music would help.
Sure. This thing reminds me of Steve Zielinski's
So this is a. Sorry. Later, there's gonna be like a big reveal with her, where like she's actually taken out a bunch of people with huge guns before.
Okay.
She was involved in a war.
Paramilitary once
Yes.
again.
Mm-hmm.
Once again.
And I remember that being kind of obnoxious in the theater. But again, maybe it's just because we're talking over it. All of this is working a little bit better for me on another viewing. I don't know.
And they're able to operate this technology. Like, how do they know that's how that's like? I mean, I guess you could kind of figure it out if you were sitting there, but like.
Also, the blending of the English and the Spanish is decent.
This futuristic ship has 80s computers in it.
Yeah, that's what I was talking about.
Yeah, no, I know. It's just so funny.
No, it's cool. But like, you remember what Cord's lair looked like?
Yes. Yeah, there's no reason he needs to be upside down. And in fact...
Nikki, what's heart-wrenching about it? Just the fact that he's upside down? Because she said that while the old lady was holding a giant gun. So I'm not sure why she said that. Oh, now he gets to get flipped right side up.
Oh, look, it's the Vitruvian Blue Beetle.
See, this is exactly like Ninja Turtles 2014. So, 2014, Brandon, flips it where instead of Raphael getting kidnapped, all the other turtles get kidnapped.
And Raphael has to save the day.
If memory serves, that's what they did.
Now, Susan Sarandon wasn't in Turtles 2, was she?
No, but she might have made a better Shredder, to be honest with you. Okay, great. The real question is he sleeping or working out? I'm going to go with sleeping in this case. Or just being really, really uncomfortable.
So I will find it interesting,
That's always got to come up.
Susan Sarandon and George Lopez being in a movie together, number one. But number two, being in a superhero movie together. It just seems like they're very different ends of the spectrum, even if they are similarly... I feel like they could be similarly billed because of their... how well known they each are. They're on similar levels, I feel like.
Yeah.
But like, I never would have expected to see them in a movie together, and if I did, it wasn't gonna be something like this.
Yeah, well, that's kind of traditional villain casting, and we do that with Marvel quite a bit, where you go to a real well-known older actor that hasn't really been in the spotlight for a little while. Like with Susan Sarandon, I would have called that more stunt casting. Like a couple of decades ago. I think these days a lot of people probably look at this and don't even know who that is.
You think?
Maybe I'm wrong about that. I don't know. Brandon, is that that riff at the start of this song?
Yeah,
was exactly what plays in the Back to the Future scene where he is Darth Vader from Planet Vulcan, and I wonder if it's the same song.
That would be Alice Cooper.
Is that Alice Cooper?
So
okay.
This might be Alice Cooper. I don't know for sure.
I think this is that same song, maybe.
So
somebody tell me if I'm wrong about that.
In specific to that, in Back to the Future, they wanted it was gonna be the band that he wanted to be on the Walkman, but they wouldn't allow that. So Alice Cooper recorded it kind of clandestinely on his own and gave them the sample for that scene.
Oh, cool.
He did it underneath the record label and without anybody's knowledge.
I didn't know that. Yeah. Wow. I'm also going to say, because I think this needle drop is actually working. I would argue that if you had to have incidental music in this movie, it should have all been 80s period. And you'd have this fun juxtaposition of it's present day, but we're doing some kind of fun nostalgia throwback. And it's appropriate because it's this legacy hero where all the tech we're using is from this guy who was young during that period.
Sure, yeah.
And it lets you do that stuff outside of a period piece. And it also could thematically play as, like, throwing back to, like simpler times when you're dealing with a family that's having a hard time making ends meet. And this might be throwing back to a period that felt like it was, maybe, like, easier to make a buck.
Mm-hmm.
And so some of that is actually playing, but the problem is you had too many, present day music choices earlier. It should have all been.
It's not. I mean, the music is not thematically linked in that way. So
no, but that last song kind of was. And
yeah, I like that.
You could have done the whole movie that way.
Oh, of course. Like, as soon as the action happens, like the metal starts,
Yeah, and sure, it might feel like it's ripping off Guardians a little bit, but it would have worked maybe.
Yeah, I would never have and I have seen Guardians. I would not have, connected that like that. But I see exactly what you're saying. Would not have bothered me either.
Yeah, a lot of people would have, but. And you haven't seen a lot of these, but there's been a lot of ripping off Gunn on the way he does music. Because the Suicide Squad wants to be Guardians so desperately. And then the big irony with that, now it's the Matrix. Look at this. Look at the squiddies. And then...
That was multiple matrices.
Oh. Well, it looked like the machines from the Matrix.
It did kind of.
Or no, it looked like the...
There's a Stargate.
It looked like the pods... Yes, and now we're in the Stargate. It looked like the human pods.
Okay, that really does look like a Stargate, though.
No, it doesn't.
Why did we just do that flyover to him being upside down again while he's right side up? Oh, we're doing this again. We're going inside to a universe inside of a...
Signpost up ahead. Once again, it's the Matrix.
Yeah, Matrix. And Minority Report.
Sure.
And the hit song by AWOL Nation, Sail. Music video.
I don't remember this at all. I'm not sure what we're doing here. If this is a way to get a flashback, or if he's gonna have a conversation with
Grandpa. Is this what heaven looks like? That is a very interesting.
That's cool. No, it's Iowa. RJ Godzilla, no one under 25 knows who Susan Sarandon is, unfortunately. And to be fair, there's definitely stunt casting in some Marvel movies that's also true for her. Okay, great. Wait, did his dad die?
Oh, yes. Charges always have to have, like, some sort of X on top. Make him super identifiable is not supposed to be there.
Yeah, he died when they rushed the house, right?
Yes. They knocked him over.
I'm just making sure I'm remembering this correctly.
They punched his face and knocked him over.
Because Okay Great missed it too, but I was pretty sure that's what happened in that scene.
It is.
Or not missed it too. I didn't miss it, but I second guessed it for a second. I was like, that did happen, right?
It was a real Uncle Ben moment.
Yes. And now we gotta get Destiny in here, of course. I don't usually love scenes like this. It's better than Hero Cake, though. But then everything's better than that. Ryder, I know who she is, but I'm 29.
You know,
that's the cutoff.
You could call him
25.
Beetle. You could call him Beetle Man with how much it takes beats from Spider-Man. The human Beetle.
Did you just say you got my name wrong?
I did say Beetle Man.
I want to see Blue Beetle versus Bonesaw.
I don't know that character, so I can't laugh with you on that.
I just referenced the exact same scene you just referenced. That's the wrestler in that scene.
Oh, is that the name of the wrestler?
Yeah, you just said Human Spider. I'm talking about the same
I
thing
never
we're talking
remember
about.
the other guy.
Yeah.
I never remember the other guy.
That's Macho Man.
Okay.
Bonesaw is ready.
Gotcha.
God, Brandon.
I know, I'm sorry. Knocking it out of the park, then suddenly nothing.
You only have to hold on for another half hour, Brandon. It's going to be okay.
Look, I only programmed this robot to operate for so long.
This has not been dreadful.
Excuse me. The symbolism is cool here.
What do you mean? What are we symbolizing?
Just the in-universe stuff, the kind of just being with his grandpa again, and it's kind of heavenly, yet not. I don't know that it's specifically symbolic
I don't think it's
to
actually
anything.
symbolic necessarily, but
Oh, look, the Enterprise is landing.
he's got to jump out of heaven here.
It was a crash landing Enterprise. Now this reminds me the very Iron Man.
So this is the symbiotic thing.
Yeah. It's red.
I mean, it's symbolic in that it's a visual manifestation of something that's happening internally.
Yes.
If that's what you were talking
Oh,
about.
yeah, he's Borg.
Yeah, that's very Borgy.
Red Borg.
Sounds Swedish. Nikki's 9 minutes behind us.
Oh, really?
Oh, because she's got ads. However, she's watching this.
Oh, I'm sorry. Max with ads. That's how she's watching this.
I'm digging this the soundtrack, man. It's all right.
Uh-oh.
And all the space stuff is cool.
Yeah, it's neat.
Brandon, even the explosion didn't look fake.
No, I know.
That looked like an actual damn explosion.
The big crane shot they had, which is a real weird shot for even a movie like this, that was way back up at the park where they were fighting in the beginning, and there was an explosion down below, and the explosion was just a little explosion from way back here instead of just like overpowering explosion, and it's looking good.
Also, his performance is more earnest, and he's got more presence than I gave it credit for in the first place.
Well, after we made the Jeff Goldblum comparison.
I have been talking. Yes, that helped a lot. No, I have been talking over this the whole time, so I don't know if I would have that if I was watching this unfettered.
And you said that's like the third time you've mentioned that, but yes, I totally agree with that sentiment.
Well, I have to give that caveat because
these set designs are fun. And it feels a lot like there's a lot more practical stuff here. It's not just that it doesn't look the CGI that it might be. I don't think it's CGI in some of this. It's more practical.
No, some of it's definitely practical. Okay, great. It says this is the perfect background movie. Throw it on when you're doing the laundry or dishes. You might miss important character deaths, but you'll get the gist. Yeah, that's great. That implies that he was doing his laundry and he missed an important character death. John Kelling, it's symbolic only until you realize it's just the Scarab directly communicating with Jaime and convincing him to let him in completely. Yeah, and they had to have that very useful exposition to say they're merging. I'm talking over this, so I needed that. That was very useful for me in the moment.
Why didn't the shield activate there?
Usually I would say it's holding my hand too much.
Everything that Blue Beetle has done so far has been different.
What do you mean?
He not brought out the same two guns.
Oh, right.
At the same time, he didn't bring out the shield again to block that explosion like he was blocking the bullets. It's all one individual thing for every particular situation.
Well, and that showcases what the thing can do.
Certainly.
And that's adaptable. Wow, this guy is a Power Ranger villain in the best possible way.
She is fawning over... He doesn't care. He's got power. He's gonna kill her. Or something.
She's got some bizarre fetishes, too.
I've been noticed, yeah. Like this marvelous mechanical man in front of me.
And I guess he's got the same thing that Jaime does, where his costume is adapting and changing. And
yeah, I mean, he just finally got the programming to make the thing work.
And that's the Borg thing, where it's adapting rhythm.
Oh, come on. You're now stronger than a human male.
Okay, great. It's Black Beetle. Let me read another comment here. Bag says he was out of the country when Blue Beetle released, so he has not seen it before, but he's going to watch it for the Mania. Question, if Gunn wasn't allowed to reboot and he had to continue the Centerverse, do you think there could have been any success to be found, and how? I'm going to try to remember to bring that back up, Bag, and talk about that with Austin. That lighting's cool.
Where did you learn to shoot like that? I'll tell you later. Okay.
Yeah, they're constantly building that. And that's maybe...
She's a sleeper cell.
A little irritating, because I don't know if you make that big of a deal that there's a reveal coming, it's hard to live up to it when you finally get there.
Certainly.
With this kind of thing.
Why is it shooting out different colors? Reminds me of those pens
cool.
that you could click the different colors down.
Is it...
So,
I don't want to give too much away, but is it reminding you of anything in our movie?
Anything in the movie?
In the movie we made?
Oh, yes. Yes, indeed. I was like, what? Yes, indeed.
Soon as she pulled that out, it was like... I was just editing footage with this gun.
But the funny thing about it is that when she first picked up the gun, I noticed the barrel. The barrel has these mirror-like pieces around it that look very, very disco ball, but they were all different colors, like the palette in like a makeup palette.
Yeah.
And then it's shooting out these
I
different
love what you
colors.
said about the color pens. That's great.
Oh yeah. I want one of those pens
Billy,
again.
His best scene is finally seeing the bug in live action, Blue Beetle. Everything except the lead actor is Jaime Reyes, and his perfectly realized Blue Beetle costume is what he would change. And what surprised him is the fact that this has little to no connection to the DCEU. He said that. Oh wait, did I already read this one? Maybe I already read this one. Apologies, I think I already read this one. Captain Kuhn, favorite scene: seeing the previous Beetle suits. Thing he would change. Make Jaime in high school with Peiko and Brenda, and make the villain Brenda's aunt from the books. See, I just don't know the source material. Things that surprised me: Granny with a minigun.
That wasn't a minigun.
No, it was a minigun.
Big gun.
Well, but that's what those are called.
Oh,
yeah, you don't know that
in the universe?
The big guns that spin, like, those are called miniguns. That's what those are called. I always thought that was weird because they're huge, but no, they're called miniguns.
I've never heard that. No,
that's a thing.
I should know that.
Sound off in the comments, guys. Tell Brandon he's wrong and that's a thing. Austin put in comments for this. Thanks, Austin. Favorite thing: Blue Beetle's costume is amazing.
What?
The Heavy in the movie is also basically the Crimson Dynamo with the same story. And Austin's a huge Iron Man fan and has wanted Crimson Dynamo forever. So this kind of gave him that in a different property. Where
did she get this? She picked up some technology?
Thing I'd change, I'd add Ted Kord. I thought he shows up right at the end. Maybe I'm wrong. I know they wanted Jason Sudeikis and he'd be fun. Oh, maybe they do a thing at the end where like they're building like you'll get him in the next movie. I forget. It would be very Mask of Zorro, but have him and his daughter flying in the Beetle ship at the end. Plus, it kind of throws him under the bus when his wife is the villain. That's kind of what you were talking about. Yeah, I'm dumb. You were saying the aunt, and we were talking over this, and I wasn't putting together that's actually Ted Kord's wife. So yeah,
she's the wife.
Is weird. Yeah,
I thought she was just a relative, not a married-in relative. That makes way more sense at why she's.
If Austin's right, that's supposed to be his wife. Yeah, biggest surprise was just after this full hellscape of a franchise, I actually really liked it. Hellscape is right.
So this music came out of nowhere, but if they had been music themed from the beginning, it would not have been.
Well, again, if we had been in this period the whole time, because
yes.
This is still probably 80s hip-hop.
I think it sounds like it. It sounds very insane in the membrane.
It's kind of too bad that they just did the Mortal Kombat thing. Did you see that? You just said get over here. That's great. But it's kind of too bad that the Iron Spider suit was already done before this.
Yeah.
Because the Beetle arms would have been kind of a cool, unusual thing we hadn't really done with a superhero yet. Like, you got the Doc Ock arms in Spider-Man 2, but like as an actual, superhero suit thing.
Yeah.
But we've already had the Iron Spider suit in Infinity War, so we kind of did it already at Marvel.
Once again, DC is catching up.
Yeah, and that's been a thing we've talked about actually in the series a lot, is all the things that Marvel weirdly got in front of that's more of a DC thing. It's obnoxious.
Marvel did DC better.
Okay, great. This is a fun set piece. It is. No, all this action's great.
Okay, that's the first thing that looked really more CG to me than anything else.
And it's like the Raimi Spider-Man movies where how else do you do it?
Sure.
Like, that's just how you have to do that stuff.
Exactly.
Oh, Tyler says it's Ted's sister, not his wife.
Oh.
We're all wrong about who this character is.
Well, okay, if she's the daughter though, then it would have to be. It couldn't be his wife. That'd be her mom.
Yes. Okay.
Now that you say that.
Yes.
But why is she a different ethnicity?
Look, I don't remember this movie, and we're just talking over it.
Does she have half grandparents?
And even Austin thought that was his wife. Unless we're missing something here.
We know how families work.
Dude, I'm real challenged when it comes to that sometimes.
I'm a part
Brandon,
of one.
I'm bad at that. With like how familiar relationships work sometimes.
Yeah,
I'll have to really noodle it. It's like upper level math to me. Like sometimes I have to really sit there and think about it.
I get confused at the first cousins once removed. You know,
Austin. Oh, I thought it was his wife. I've not seen it since theaters. Well, that's okay. I just thought it was some random family member like Austin, like Brandon. Brandon said,
I'm a random family member.
No,
what?
I'm saying I thought earlier.
That it was
she was a random family, not so closely affiliated with or connected to the.
Right, gotcha.
Oh, this is where he does the sword
nice
thing. Yeah. So this was in the trailer.
Okay, that's cool.
It's really cool. Yeah. And that's where it's like Injustice or Mortal Kombat or something, and it's cool and stylish, and doesn't feel like weirdly video game. And it's hard to explain why I like it here, and I've complained about it in other movies, but it just, I don't know. It works. It's cool.
It's funny you say that because I was going to be like, you're going to hate me for saying this, but like that sword reminds me of something in one of my favorite video games.
Yeah. If it is true, because I didn't know this until tonight, if it's true that this was made for Max initially, I am way more impressed with this movie. That also explains why it was so under the radar and people didn't know about it for a long time, because it would have been a bigger deal and talked about more if it was going to go theatrical.
Sure.
So that makes more sense. And then at the 11th hour they put it in the theater. And honestly, it technically bombed, Brandon.
Uh-huh.
Or just broke even, but again, it probably lost money on advertising. But they might have done better with it ultimately than if they had just put it on streaming.
I want a chopper like that, by the way.
Just because these streaming services have been operating at a loss and haven't really made a lot of money, it seems like. Or at least, that's how I understand it. Or if they're making money, they're not doing anything like what they thought they would do. Because there's been a lot of talk lately that this whole moving everything, so much to streaming and changing the model has been a grand mistake for Hollywood.
Uh-huh. They always have to talk just enough to lose. In fact, that's how they lose.
Well, yes, that is, Tony, you've upgraded your arm, or...
All the way back to James Bond.
Okay, great. I'm enjoying this. Oh my god, is this the top 3 DCEU movie? I think it might be, by God. I can't even believe I'm saying that. That's cool. And like the half... Also, the half-face thing, Brandon, is in fact symbolic. Because he's now both of these characters at the same time. It is a full-on... Symbiosis, thank you.
Symbiotic relationship.
And also, as Spider-Man as this character is, I think it's kind of cool they did that, even though that's a Spider-Man thing, the half mask thing.
Yeah.
Because I don't know if you know that, but that's a comic Spider-Man motif. Yes, they did it at the end of that movie, but I think that's also part of why they did it. So it's a classic comic Spider-Man thing to have panels where they'll show half of his face is the Spider-Man mask, and half of it is his real mask, and he's not literally wearing half of it.
Sure,
it's a symbolic thing to say the real character is Peter Parker.
Yeah. And this is Peter. This is Spider-Man. They are one family.
Because it's about family, Brandon.
That played very Vin Diesel in...
Yes. Yes, it did. See, she's just typically jealous, Brandon.
Have you ever seen the movie Triple X, speaking of Vin Diesel?
No, I haven't.
That's a fun
one. Or
one.
if I did, it was just a million years ago and I can't remember it.
Sam Jackson and Vin Diesel.
I know who's in it, but I actually don't know if I've ever sat through that.
I mean, I don't think you'd call that a superhero movie, but I think he's such a badass that you could get away with it.
What's with all the foam?
It's cotton candy from the sky, don't you know?
It's purple.
Oh my god! What was
that? Was
that?
Awesome.
Oh my god!
That was awesome.
That was the worst thing so far. That's hilarious.
Ah, it was fun.
That was hilarious. Fun. My god! It just went tumbling out of the sky.
You know what else I'm gonna say? This movie is hella toyetic.
What?
Toyetic. Like they look like they make good action figures. And
I've never heard that word.
If this didn't have toys. Just because it didn't... Like I said, it had merch. It must have had toys. But anyway, I should look into that because these would be cool figures.
They'd make great McDonald's toys, too.
RJ Godzilla, I don't like that Kevin Feige said he didn't want to do a Carol Danvers Captain Marvel movie with her traditional comic origin because it was too close to Green Lantern. But he still did Iron Spider. Yeah, that's fair. Oh, I forgot about this. So yeah, see, it can connect to your mind and it downloads your thoughts. And it's symbiotic like Venom in that...
So he didn't want this either.
Each would know everything the other one knows.
Oh, he stepped on a landmine.
And it ticks me off that this understands the symbiotic concept more than the Venom movies.
Venom, yeah.
Ugh. I hate that. In fact, whoever directed this would probably have been a better director for Venom.
Oh, see? Guerrilla warfare. Oh, boy.
Right. Oh, well, at least we've got a sense of, like, where she came from and why she's like this.
But why did Susan Sarandon just end up in the jungle?
Well, I don't guess I immediately know that, Brandon. This was directed by Angel Manuel Soto. Who has not had a...
So that's where his locket came from. He's just a broken man. Our villain's just a broken man.
He's the most sympathetic character in the movie. He directed something called Charm City Kings in 2020. So he's had a not a huge career yet.
Okay, how is he hanging below these ion thrusters?
But it's still working. And he's supposed to be doing a comedic buddy cop movie starring Jason Momoa and Dave Bautista.
Interesting.
Called The Wrecking Crew.
Fascinating.
He's going to do, like, an original film that's not based on any pre-existing IP, Brandon. Yeah, this guy absolutely is an Iron Man villain.
100%.
Nicholas Bodo, hey Cap, I just got here. Is this better than you remember? Decisively, yes. And the things I was complaining about in the second half... Again, talking over it, but I've not really had so much.
I didn't find a pacing issue, honestly.
I must have just been having a bad weekend that weekend, Brandon. I don't know. You know, I mean, this stuff is typical and melodramatic, but so again, pretty par for the course.
If the bad guy is red and denotated by that, and he turns good and he stays red, does that... It seems like a... Oh, man, she stomped on the phone.
Well, it's not like when Darth Vader is redeemed, suddenly his lightsaber goes blue.
No, but it seems like a conflict of, color schemes.
Well, what are you going to do?
He's a beautiful flower.
It would be a lot stupider if we went, he's good now. And then suddenly his colors change.
Right.
So, you know, you can't do that.
Oh, yeah. Take her out. Take her out.
Jason's in the comments. Hey, guys, how's Blue Beetle? It's okay. We've kind of been enjoying
it's passable.
it. Yeah. And I mean, that's the highest praise we can give it, but...
B minus, maybe? C plus?
C plus, B minus. Yeah.
The enharmonic equivalent.
I don't love to do the rewind scale thing without, like, actually watching it for story analysis, Brandon, but, like, my guess is on the old scale, this is probably like a 2.
Okay.
Like somewhere between a 2 and a 2.5. And on the new scale, it will probably, and again, I've got to watch it first and we'll do the story analysis, but I imagine this will work out as a hero. Austin, I'm sure we'll give it a superhero.
Is he hallucinating now?
Yeah, I think so. Oh, he's going to drag her into the fire.
Is he going to burn up too?
Oh, no. Nicholas Bodo, are you going to rank all these movies after the Aquaman 2 commentary? Yes, we are. That's a lot of why we decided to do this series, actually, is because we wanted to do a ranked list, and I hadn't seen a lot of these in so long. Like this would have wound up in a completely different place in my ranking if we weren't doing this, I'm sure.
So he blew himself up there.
Well, you could tell the way he was playing that scene that he was about to make an epic sacrifice.
Yes, but like he blew up in the fires.
You could tell that was going to go like all kamikaze.
So did you know that there's a
real quick? You know what I appreciate? That we didn't do the Miguel might be dead. Let's tease the audience that your protagonist just died. Oh, yay! He's alive. I'm glad we didn't do that again.
So how come George Lopez's character, didn't drive like a bug, a VW bug?
No, I've been kind of on the nose. If this was a CW show, that's what it would have been.
You know, we have a pest control company around here called the Blue Beetle, and they drive blue VW bugs.
Well, they can do it retroactively. Like now that he's got the Blue Beetle thing, they all buy VW bugs. Once they have money.
VW is like, hey, we want to tie into your superhero.
That's the optimistic payoff. Is the beginning of the movie. They're broke. They're afraid they're going to lose the house, and at the end of the movie, somehow somebody gets rich, and now they're all driving VW bugs. Yeah.
Or they just get an ad deal with VW. They're like, hey,
oh, that's good.
Blue Beetle.
That's good.
We
Absolutely.
Want to sponsor you.
Okay, great. This has one of the better third acts for a superhero movie. High praise. Definitely one of the better third acts for these. I'm not even minding the gun-toting grandma
now
as
we
much
can cry
as I was before.
There's no time to do it earlier, but now we've got some downtime.
Well, but that's kind of cool that she had to recede back into her past self and find that again, and just kind of sucked it up and put her emotions aside. And they play that a little bit for comedy, and then she's a lot more endearing, and I kind of even appreciate that comedy more once she goes, okay, I'm the grandmother again. Mm-hmm. That's not bad. I don't know. I misjudged this a little bit. RJ Godzilla, did this movie really need to be 2 hours? Maybe not. I mean, it's a little padded.
It didn't feel like 2 hours
comedy before.
I was talking to the whole thing.
Yeah. But it does not have the pacing issues that a lot of these have had, and that I kind of thought it did. And I don't even think I was necessarily right about Jaime getting too written out, because, I mean, he gets kidnapped and his family has to come get him. That's just the story.
Mm-hmm.
And then once we get him and he merges with the Scarab, he ends up being kind of badass.
The whole community's coming out to...
I still don't like the sister. Braden, I think you watched something similar to this before watching this. What do you mean by that? Are you suggesting that I probably in the theater just felt like this was so redundant that I couldn't latch onto it?
Well, what else is coming out around the time?
Which is funny. Well, I mean, we just did Shazam 2 the other day, and this is like the Shazam movies in some ways, but it's funny because now we've watched these in rapid succession, and this one looks a lot better than it did to me before. So like that's kind of interesting.
Probably just because maybe because what we've been talking about, you've been watching a lot of overproduced stuff, and this is a return to more of a realistic interpretation of a thing.
Yeah, but I'm just saying it's interesting the proximity of watching these things where like if I felt like after like Shazam 2 and Flash and stuff I was just burnt out, and this was still reminding me too much of some of that stuff. And also I missed the Batman as a fascist line. That's in here somewhere. Which turned people against it, and that is a stupid line. I wish it wasn't there, but I mean, to be fair, like I guess that's an opinion that a character can have that just doesn't know Batman.
It doesn't track with the rest of the movie, though.
And if this is connected to DCEU, he certainly might feel more that way in this universe. But anyway, whatever. But what I was going to say, Brandon, is I might have been kind of burnt out on this, on that stuff, and looked at this as a little bit more of the same. But then I've now watched all that stuff a lot closer to it, and it's making this look better. It's kind of interesting how that works out. Nicholas Bodo, unrelated, but did you guys hear the Batman Part 2 script is finished and the movie is coming out in October of 2027? I had not read that news yet. And we'll see if that actually ends up happening. But it's exciting if it's finally done. I'm really done with people saying that Gunn intentionally sabotaged that and doesn't want it to come out because it's not part of his universe, because that was always obviously kind of bunk, but...
Getting in close for a kiss, looks like.
I guess these characters have decent enough chemistry. And I also have to applaud this thing for not avoiding romance, even if the whole movie isn't a romance. Because so many superhero movies around this were doing that, and it was bugging me. So that's another way in which it's old school typical, and I really appreciate it. Yo, Brandon, what this should have leaned into, like we were talking about earlier, is it's like, and it feels like this to some degree, but again, it could have leaned more into it.
Oh my goodness.
It's a modern superhero movie. It's set in present day, but it's made and throwing back to late 80s.
Yeah.
This ending is absolutely having that, and I just wish they leaned into it more from the beginning.
That felt like a Superman thing to do.
Whiplash. Or an Iron Man thing.
Yeah, an Iron Man thing to do. But also the turning halfway into your superhero while you're kissing the love interest. This seems very intentionally suggestive at the very end of something that didn't have a lot of suggestion.
Well, that's all right. It just didn't get to romantic stuff yet. Now that it has it, like, I don't know.
Here's our 4 different font styles. Sorry, 2 different font styles. This
you guys, I needed to get some distance from it, I guess. That was all right. Like, yeah, it's pretty disposable, but it's got some style. It's got, you know, the big thing that it has over some other things we've looked at lately, and especially watching The Flash last night. And I think part of why I was probably enjoying this a lot more is just it actually has some class. And Flash is so classless. So massively, terribly, obnoxiously classless.
So is this setting up a sequel?
Okay, great. This movie's cute. It really finds its footing in the back half. I mean, that's a solid review. I'm with you.
More 80s music.
Yup. So yeah, this is setting up Ted Kord. So we haven't actually cast him. And so the idea is if you had a sequel.
You looked that last part looked very. Oh my goodness! I just completely blanked on his name. Sidekick to the Tick. It looked just
Arthur.
Arthur,
Yeah,
thank
sure.
you.
What did just the suit?
The suit looked very Arthur. Yeah.
But yeah, that's also very Ant-Man, right? Like, his wife's out there. We gotta go get her. Janet Pym.
Well, now I've seen that.
Yeah. Now you've talked over that.
That's how I watch most movies these days.
Brandon never just actually sits down and watches a thing.
Well, that's not true, but I do talk a lot.
Cinderic, the Batman is a fascist line was admittedly taken out of context in the marketing since he was only saying that in comparison to Blue Beetle, who he respects more. Okay, I mean, I guess that's fair. Yeah, I'm curious to see where I end up putting this in my ranking, because he might be right. That might be top 3. Oh, it's got that cool synthwave back, Brandon. You gotta put your headphones back on. Ba-na-na-na.
Yeah, just as I took it
let's
off.
Turn it way up. Let's turn it way up. Na-na-na.
I listen to a lot of synthwave on YouTube, believe it or not.
No, I like it too. You know what? I will send you the Sonic Frontiers soundtrack. You'll love it. Okay. If you like synthwave stuff, it's so good.
Oh, by the way, speaking of older music, I've been meaning to tell you about this.
I'll play you some of that. I'm gonna find it.
There's something you need to watch, and it's called the Postmodern Jukebox. They're a group that does things, and they did a Pinky and the Brain theme cover.
Cool.
And it has the voice actors who played Pinky and the Brain in it.
That's awesome.
It is awesome.
So LaMarche came in for it?
Yes, they're in the background. They
That's so weird because we just watched some Pinky and the Brain today.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, you need to. We'll watch that here in a little while.
What are the odds of that?
It's very cool.
There's a particular. Let me see if I can find the boss battle music. Because that's actually a lot like what we're listening to right now.
Okay.
I want you to hear that. If I can find it. Yeah, I think this is probably it. Here, I'll play you this after this is over. Because we technically have to watch through the credits and see the whole thing here, Brandon.
Sounds good to me.
I'm actually glad I brought you in for this one. Just because it was actually kind of fun.
It was kind of fun. More my speed.
And it would have been a chore for a lot of these other things. I mean, there's some baffling stuff where it would have been fun to just watch you go, what are we watching? Why did this happen?
As is the case when you get me into watch Power Rangers.
Okay, great. That Ted Kord suit looks cool. It does. Great. Now I'm disappointed we won't get a sequel. You know what? I will go as far as to say if Gunn decides to rope this into the continuity, I'm fine with that. Because with all the legacy stuff they're doing in the lived in DC universe, there's no reason it couldn't fit into that. And I'm not sure, like, if you do Blue Beetle stuff in that universe, I'm not even sure how you'd want to reinvent it. Like, it feels, kind of like what you'd want. So I don't know. When that animated thing comes out, Brandon, we can watch that together.
Sure.
See if that's any good.
So this ending music doesn't feel particularly end credits to me. It feels like synthy in a different way than the synthwave. And I don't like it as much. It feels very video game music, like just like video game lobby music. doesn't have gravitas.
Yeah, I mean, it does just sound like in movie music, but we do that a lot, too. Like, this isn't a sweet...
Oh, there's the list of the song credits, too.
Yeah.
Now you can find out really how much 80s music it is.
They just didn't front-load it with that stuff, and they should have. Now, they might be thinking we don't want to do any of that until we do the Ted Cord reveal. But I still think it would have been better if we had it at the start, and then the audience just kind of wonders what the 80s stuff is about, and then we pay it off. I mean, and then the whole thing is of a piece. That's what I think. That's what I say, Brandon.
You're entitled to your opinion. Use it when you need it. Oh, there's a post credits.
Yeah, we've gone full Marvel at this point, where we're doing the mid and the post. I don't know if I stayed long enough to even see those in the theater. We're bringing back this cartoon thing. Well, that was unnecessary.
I don't know what that was about.
Yeah. Yeah, that was unnecessary. Here, Brandon, I'm gonna flip this over and let everybody hear
okay.
this. I'm gonna play a little bit of this Sonic Frontier score because it's really close to the said stuff we were just listening to.
Nice.
I don't know if this is the track that I was looking for. Oh no, it's the Asura. This is what I was looking for. But that gives you a taste of it. Here, I'll come over here. Here it is. Here it is, Brandon.
Yeah. Some good synthwave.
That's cool.
Yeah,
it's just
I like
cool.
It.
Anyway, guys, well, say bye to Brandon. He's got to get going.
Bye to Brandon.
Brandon, thanks for doing this with me, man.
You're welcome. Thanks for having me
over. I really
over.
Appreciate it. Yeah, I think this is a lot more fun than it would have been if I was by myself. But I also think I would have still had a real similar experience. I think I would have still liked this movie more than I did in the theater. So
I'm always apprehensive about when I get to start to watch a movie because I'm like, that's a time commitment. But then I get to the end and I'm like, I'm glad I did that. It is, but my attention's not what it used to be.
So, Austin and I will be back here in about 15 minutes for Aquaman 2, and I'm sad to say that's going to be the movie that we're playing out with, but we'll have as much fun with it as possible, and then that's going to be the end of DCEU Mania.
Goodness.
Then I'm taking a week off. I'm going to be out of town, and when I get back, as early as we can in that week, Austin and I are hoping to do our ranking video for the DCEU. That's what the point of this was. That's what we've been leading to. So we'll at least have one more stream past Aquaman 2, thank God. And I will set up the next stream here in a couple minutes. So wait around for that if you want to stick with us. And we hope that you will, just for the sake of conclusion. And we'll have a good time. Brandon, come back soon.
I'll be back soon. We should do, when you get back, we should do another After Dark at some point.
We will. Yeah, absolutely. Just doing these every day. I have not had time to do it, but that's why I opened up questions for Patreon and tried to make sure that we had some Patreon content.
Certainly.
Certain. I'm gonna start saying it like that. Certain. Anyway, appreciate you guys. Thanks for watching. I was Captain Logan. This was Brandon.
It was I.
And we are heading out. Thanks, guys.